In this video, we'll demonstrate a high-key, bright lighting setup.
Now, there are so many different ways you can use color to create a mood. You know, here's just a few examples. I mean, you've got this gentleman here, got the blue light, the flare from the back. You know, that's a very rock and roll kind of a look. On the other hand, you've got this man in the middle that's got kind of a sci-fi magician kind of a feel. And the couple on the right, you know, it's got a very romantic kind of a feel. There's so many different things you can do. Sometimes with something that's got kind of a science aspect to it, you can use edge lights and sometimes color in the background to kind of give it that sense of, you know, discovery and research.
And there's another thing, that lighting contrast. If you want the people to feel warm and fuzzy, having some areas that are cool around them really makes it jump out. If everything's the same color, you know, it's not as, it makes the color you want to pop out really pop out.
So now let's move over to the demo area with Tatiana, and we'll try some different things with lights, different color, and see what kinds of effects we can achieve.
This is 5600 and this is what these lights are set at. So that should look pretty normal in terms of color. So if I then change my lights over to tungsten to 3200, so now I'm in tungsten balance. So if you don't, so your eye, you know, it's just so crazy, is that your eye just, especially if these lights weren't here, you just walk into a room and not think anything, you know. And so if, by the way, you want the shot to look really orange, this is one way you could do it, you know. You could just white balance differently. And there are actually, there's a little trick, you know. These cards, and you want it to be warm, you put a blue card up and you white balance to it, however much blue you want, you know. Or if there's green in the shot, you put a green card up and you white balance on that and it gets rid of the green. So it's like opposite of whatever you white balance on is what it tints the picture, you know. It's more of an old school thing, but it's still but kind of the point I was trying to make there is that you can use white balance as a color filter to a certain extent, but even if you did it in post, it really has the same effect. You know, you're warming up the picture. You're changing the white balance. The first class I did a demo with Adobe Lightroom and going in with the color picker and picking different parts of a shot and changing the white balance and see how crazily different it makes it look. You know, so yeah, it is. Even if you're doing it in post, it really doesn't necessarily change the ideas. But so, you know, if you wanted this tint, I'm on a daylight balance still, but if I go down to, you know, there's the camera white balance at 3200. So once again, she looks normal, right? Yeah. I assume. You know, and it's interesting because she doesn't look any different to our eyes, right? But that's what the camera does. Let's say I have, well, let's start with daylight. We do see some coming back there, right? So I'll put this back on daylight. And that's one thing is if you come into a situation that has a certain inherent kind of light color temperature, like that outside back there, and you don't want it to look different, then you want to put your lights in at the same color temperature. If you had a you know, a super bright source back there, you know, you could put, you know, an edge light on, and it would be pretty motivated. You know, it would look like it's coming from the window, even though it's not. So I think this doesn't aesthetically do much for me because she's all bright and the background's dark and it looks a little weird, you know. It looks very, very lit, obviously. But if the sun was coming through there and it was blasting out that background, this would look very natural. And it would look like that light on her hair was coming from that window because it's right behind her, you know, and that's motivation. You're motivating that light from something that appears to be making the light, even though it's not in actuality, you know. And so this would be a bright daylight, you know, kind of a scene, and using the color like that. Click on the next video to continue. New videos drop every couple of days. If you like what you see, like and follow us on our social media channels. And everything is downloadable for free on our website, ruchiproductions.com.